Chapter 13 of The House on the Downs by Gladys Edson Locke. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The New Parlour-Maid. Sunday passed uneventfully, save for the coming of a new parlour-maid to aid in filling in the depleted ranks of the servants, frightened away by the queer happenings at the Grange after nightfall. Roseanne Jenkins, from a village in the neighboring county of Surrey, professed herself as not at all afraid of weird doings, but, on the contrary, rather thrilled by the thought of them. "I don't know what to make of such boldness," complained the housekeeper. "It's not natural or womanly." "But it's refreshing," declared Sir Quenton. "Let the girl alone, Mrs. Carswell, and don't worry." "I can't help worrying, sir, if she insists on prowling about the Grange at night, as I think she's very likely to do." Sir Quenton looked a little annoyed. "You can't expect to lock us all in our rooms as soon as it becomes dark. You have warned the girl, very thoroughly too, and you need feel no further responsibility in the matter. As you know, I do not share your extreme view of happenings here. I believe hysteria plays a part in them." "It is more than hysteria, Sir Quenton," the housekeeper persisted. "Well, whatever it is," he said forbearingly, "an investigation is to be made and the affair cleared up. In the meantime, try not to make matters seem more sensational than they actually are." Mark, coming up the circular stairway that evening after a late smoke in the library with Sir Quenton, encountered the new parlour-maid in the upper hall, where it formed a right angle with the corridor in which his room was located. She was standing in an attitude of tension. "Do you hear it, sir?" she whispered eagerly. "Like somebody going upstairs, only there aren't any stairs here to go up?" Mark, listening, fancied he heard again, as he had on the night before, the sound of stealthy footsteps mounting upward. Absurd, of course, only blank wall and ceiling above. "There are likely to be odd sounds at night in an old house," he countered. "Old wood and plaster cracking with age, you know. Better go to bed and not let your imagination run riot." The parlour-maid's brown eyes shone with excitement. Her pretty but rather pale face was flushed. "That's no old wood and plaster cracking, sir. If it wasn't footsteps on stairs, what is it then?" "Dashed if I know. I like to think it imagination." "You've heard it before, sir," she guessed shrewdly. Mark smiled lamely. "You've got me there. I fancied I did last night." "And the east wing just above us," she said in a significant tone. "Mrs. Carswell has been filling your ears with tosh, I suppose. There, the sounds, whatever they are, have stopped. Get to bed, Jenkins, and in the morning you'll laugh at your fancies." The parlour-maid shook her becapped head in disavowal. "It's all very queer indeed. Well, good night, sir." Down in the library, Sir Quenton tried vainly to set himself to work on an article on Romany ethnology. His thoughts persisted in wandering from Rodney Sherrod, still absent from the Grange, to Eve and her disquieting adventure in the East Wing the night before. Although to Mrs. Carswell and others he made light of these inexplicable happenings at the Grange, in reality they worried him. As he reviewed the train of events, it seemed to him that Eve was mainly the object of attack. Certainly on two distinct occasions she had barely escaped serious injury, heavy picture and bronze bust both falling mysteriously and, it seemed, with intent. In regard to last night's occurrence, he feared there was more to it than hysteria. He was beginning to believe there was something definitely wrong with the East Wing. As soon as the inquest was over, that wing must be thoroughly explored. It might hold secrets that it behooved him to know of. In a house dating back to Jacobean days, there might well be secret passages and secret rooms. Did someone in the household know of their existence and make use of them for nefarious purposes? But what person at the Grange could he conceive to be guilty of villainy? He could not bring himself to admit that there was anyone whom he did not trust, anyone whom he could believe capable of wishing harm to his beautiful young wife. His heart warmed at the thought of Eve. She should have a long holiday on the continent, away from all unpleasantness. While they were abroad, an architect could see to the East Wing, tear it down if necessary. Eve's blessed youth should have its fling, unshadowed by gloom. Sir Quenton regretted that she had been subpoenaed for the inquest, a mere formality, of course, as she had hardly known Craddock Rayner, even by name, but it was bound to be unpleasant and would force her to glimpse the seamy side of life. The baronet would like to spare her all that, surround her with nothing but joy. Naturally, she inspired admiration in men. He wasn't selfish enough to begrudge Eve her little triumphs. He had implicit confidence in her, notwithstanding Alwyn's and Cousin Theophilus Elphick's warnings that he was spoiling her by his indulgence and encouraging her to get herself talked about with Mostyn. Of course, Mostyn did have a bit of a reputation, but Eve was a coquette only on the surface. She would keep him in his place. But here was Alwyn insisting, too, that she was flirting outrageously with Rodney Sherrard. Good gad, what a misogynist that brother of his was! Why, Eve and the boy teased and chaffed one another like brother and sister. He would go up and see that Eve was safely in bed. There must be no more expeditions at night to the east wing. The door opened and Fazenda Lee came in. Sir Quentin looked up and smiled. "I thought you were asleep long ago. You're a dissipated young woman." The Romany smiled in response, a slow, full-lipped smile. "I thought you might be writing. I wish you would let me arrange and copy the notes. They're in rather a mess, aren't they?" "Well, they are," Sir Quentin admitted, "but I don't want to keep you up till midnight and after. You should be asleep. There's the inquest tomorrow." The gypsy's mouth tightened. "Can't we forget it until tomorrow?" "We will," said Quentin with determination. "You're sure you really want to bring order out of this chaos of illegibility?" Fazenda crossed swiftly to a chair beside him at the table. "I am happiest when you let me help you, dear guardian that was. I'll have to confess I couldn't do without your help. Cousin Theophilus tries his best, but he fusses and potters and doesn't make much headway. He's fearfully jealous of you, Fazenda." The Romany, sorting out the litter of notes, laughed happily. "I know. He's jealous of everyone about you. You are the sun of his world, Sir Quentin." The baronet laughed too. "Silly of the dear old chap to feel that way about me." "I don't think it silly of him," her voice low and deep-throated. Sir Quentin appeared both amused and touched. "I know, dear girl, you're uncommonly, feudally loyal." "Till the end of all things," she declared softly, wistfully. The baronet bestowed an affectionate look upon her. "Dear girl," he said again. The Romany's long dark lashes flickered and fell. She bent over the notes. "This excerpt from Brinton is very scholarly," she remarked. Sir Quentin removed his cigar and surveyed her thoughtfully. "I'm not going to be selfish and keep you up too late. You've been working hard on these notes, and now with this inquest and all, you're tired and a bit upset." "Oh, I can see that you are. Do you happen to know if Eve is safely in bed?" "Lady Eve is in the music room with Mr. Rotherdene." Sir Quentin seemed pleased. "I hope those two are beginning to hit it off better. Alwyn is such a hopeless woman-hater that he has never quite appreciated Eve." Fazenda, writing rapidly, broke the point of her pencil. "I don't think Mr. Rotherdene underestimates Lady Eve." "Well, by George, he ought not to," laughed Sir Quentin, puffing blandly at his cigar. "But that priceless brother of mine is singularly blind in some respects." Fazenda selected another pencil from the tray on the table. "You'd like these statistics compiled by R.D. Hollis, wouldn't you?" While Sir Quentin and Fazenda Lee were working painstakingly on the ethnology of gypsies, Eve in the music room was listening with languid insolence to Alwyn Rotherdene. He was reading her a heated lecture on the depravity of her flirtation with Lord Mostyn. In the glow of the crystal luster above, her hair shone like spun gold, and her eyes were deeply blue and cold as the sea. "Why so much fervor, Alwyn?" She stifled a little yawn. His aquiline features were stern and hard. "I love my brother too well to stand by without a word and see him made a fool of by his wife and the man he receives here as a guest." "But that's all tosh, Alwyn. Mostyn is just an amusement. One must have amusement in this dull hole, and he's really quite harmless." "He's a damned microbe," cried Rotherdene hotly. Eve laughed, a soft, teasing, provocative laugh. "Not jealous by any chance, Alwyn?" His black brows peaked. "What do you mean?" Her laugh, repeated, held an unmistakable hint of challenge. "Don't you suppose I can read the signs? You are more than half in love with me yourself." "You are mad," he said curtly. Her eyes filled with a mingled light, a light of allurement and cruelty. "Am I mad? Look at me, Alwyn," she mocked. "Ah, you can't deny it. You love me, love me." The blood rushed darkly to his face. He seized her roughly in his arms. "There are times I could kill you." She continued to smile, unafraid, adorably. He gripped her shoulders and strained her to him, raining passionate kisses upon her lips. Then he flung her from him. "God forgive me, you witch! Eve, I ought to kill you for my own honor's sake." End of chapter 13.